All right, let's go, everybody. We've got a big two people here watching this, and one of them is me. So, I did manage to make it here for election night coverage after all. Um, I had to do a assignment for a job I applied for, and yeah, so I did that, and I got that finished early. So, because that's finished early, we can cover this at a decent time. So, we have a bit of time to talk about this before we start it. So, if we go back to the Ontario general election of 2014, the Liberal government won a paper thin majority. Prior to 2014, we had a minority government that kind of just limped along for a couple of years. I forget if they were able. I don't think they were able to retake it during a by-election. It's been a while since that happened, but Ontario basically had how many years was it again? It's a long time. Uh, a liberal government from 1999 to 2018. So that would be 19 years. That would be 19 years of liberal government. So by the time Ford won, there was nothing but liberal governments that I could really remember. Yes, peroxide, God save the Queen, indeed. You know, in a couple days, Elizabeth will be the second longest reigning monarch of a sovereign state of all time. So, 2018. Okay, sorry, let me just go back a bit. Sorry, I've got it together. So, Ontario had 19 years of rule by the Liberal Party after the Harris years. On the platform that I like to call the We Live in a Society platform, because Harris really cut a lot of stuff during the 90s, including the sell off of the 407, but that's a tale for another time. So the Conservatives went through a number of leaders, each one a bigger loser than the last, including such gems as John Tory, who I guess became the mayor of Toronto, Tim Hudak, aka the Invisible Man, and Patrick Brown. Patrick Brown didn't make it to the provincial election in 2018 because he got Me Too'd, and it turned out he was like embezzling money, and all this other crazy shit came out at the last minute, and he was forced to resign. And then we entered into this bizarre thing where Doug Ford um, had one of the luckiest strokes in the history of, I think, Canadian politics. So, um, so Patrick Brown resigned. I think it was something like 3 months before the election. Let me see here. BC 2018. Okay, so that happened March 10th, and then the election was June 7th. So yeah, so Patrick Brown got completely blown out like a month before the like 3 months before Ford was about to get completely felted in the Toronto provincial election. The Toronto provincial election, sorry, the Toronto municipal election that he was going to get completely blown out in. So Ford was able to come to power on a platform of on that. So he went from losing the Toronto election to John Tory's landslide to becoming John Tory's boss in the span of 3 months. It was quite a thing. Sorry if I didn't really explain that very well, but maybe just a sorry. I'm tired. It's been a very long day. So Doug Ford was going to run against John Tory to be the next mayor of Toronto, and John Tory was almost certainly going to blow him out and just kind of humiliate him. Dougie probably would have gotten something like 34% of the vote. Tory was going to get over 50, and it wasn't even going to be a close election. However, Patrick Brown got forced out over the lamest Me Too accusations I think I've ever heard. And because he got forced out over the Me Too accusations, they had a leadership contest like 4 months before the election. An election that was basically the PCs to lose. And Ford was able to pick up the leadership in an extremely close race, which, if I recall, there was a lot of shenanigans that happened. But he picked it up, and then, like 2 months later, he won a majority government. So he went from getting felted by John Tory to doing the feltoning. Definitely one of the luckiest men in in Canadian politics. Now, for those of you who are wondering how I voted in this, because I was a party member at the time, I voted for Tanya Granick Allen as my first choice, and then I put Christine Elliott as my second choice, just because I wanted Wynne gone, and I thought she had a better chance of winning than what's his name than Ford did. Yeah, so Tanya came close, at least in the first round, to being able to continue on. She was the social conservative who later got kicked out of the party for saying that Hungary was based, basically. So that happened. And then we entered the Ontario 2018 election, in which the the Liberals just got completely blown out. Like, let's go down here. Okay, so sorry, the Liberals got, let me see. Okay, so the Liberals lost 51 seats and were reduced to less than official party status. So in Canada, if you're below a certain number of seats, you don't have official party status anymore, and you're denied a whole bunch of different benefits, like research funding, office space, stuff like that. So the Liberals lost official party status, and the NDP picked up a lot of their vote. So, yeah, the Liberals went from getting 40% of the vote to getting 19%, and the NDP went from 20 to 9. But what really matters in Canadian elections is being able to get it's first past the post, so you just need to outrun your opponents. In Ontario, we have three left wing parties and one center left party, the center left party being the Progressive Conservative Party. So the left wing vote is split between the Liberals, the Green Party, and the NDP, whereas the centrist to right wing vote is not split and it's solely for the PC party. So that happened. Ontario was having major financial and economic problems. The green energy program was kind of a mess. A whole bunch of other shit wound up happening. And Ford was swept to power with a huge majority, being the first conservative in like 20 years to be able to form government. So then COVID-19 happened. And COVID-19 proved to be, well, very effective for Mr. Ford. So, generally speaking, he was regarded throughout COVID as being a rational, calm, and pragmatic figure. Ford very quickly realized that he had a tendency to say stupid things and kind of stick his foot in his mouth. So, he early on in his premiership largely just decided to keep his mouth shut. To keep his mouth shut, to let his surrogates, particularly his female surrogates, go out and do the talking for him, and that sort of thing. Uh, And so he was able to get through COVID by being BFFs with Justin Trudeau, supporting the lockdowns and stuff, but not supporting them as much. We only had like one of the most strict lockdowns in the world in Ontario, not the most. Some provinces were slightly worse. So people who didn't like the lockdown and people who thought it was okay decided on that Ford did a good job. So basically, he maintained the same percentage of his voter base, and they kicked a bunch of people out of the party. I think at least three people. There's Jim, whatever his last name is, Derek Sloan, who I actually voted for federal conservative leader, and Roman Barber, who's running for leader of the federal conservative party. So the people he kicked out formed the New Blue Party and the Ontario Party, or rather, the Ontario Party existed prior to um, the election, but it became more relevant due to uh, Derek Sloan getting kicked out for opposing the COVID lockdowns and becoming its leader. So, because he still had a seat, technically speaking, it still holds one. So, this is who I decided to vote for. Just a right wing Christian party with ties to the Freedom Convoy, the Stop the New Sex Ed Agenda party, and other kind of conspiracy stuff. Let me see. What was the meme? They had some funny meme on like their website. Uh, what was their meme statement? Family, freedom, family, and faith. Let's see here. Our platform. Where does it say to acknowledge the law of God? Let's see. Expand creed. Protect free speech. I think they say like protect the law of God somewhere. Maybe that's in their charter. Yes. Mandate. Acknowledging the supremacy of God and the rule of law. Affirming the unity of the Dominion of Canada under the Crown. Okay, so we have them. Then there's also the New Blue Party, which is the other conservative party, spin-off conservative party. So we have two meme spin-off parties. Now, logic would suggest that if you're trying to form a dissident conservative party made up of people who are pissed off at Ford, you would form one party and run together. That is not what they wound up doing. There's two now. So the minuscule percentage of the vote they get is going to be split between these two separate ones. So, I mean, that's cool. They also have like the same shtick, being against woke activism and removing critical race theory from schools. Also, ties to the Canadian Canada convoy protest. I think they're less explicitly Christian, but they're slightly more, I think, polished. I don't know. So those guys emerged. They aren't probably going to do anything. Um, Someone points off fidget spinner. That's just the symbol of Ontario. Uh, a trillium. So let's see here. Yeah, there are some other ones. Yeah, Randy Hillier got kicked out. Roman Barber did. Kevin Yard. Oh no, he's NDP. Sorry, but yeah, a number of different uh, members of the party got kicked out for opposing vaccine mandates and lockdowns. So that brings us to the current election. Now, The Tories have not moved in terms of their overall vote. For American viewers, the Conservative Party in Anglo countries, I'm not sure if it's true in Australia, but in Canada and the UK, the Conservative Party is nicknamed the Tory Party, because there used to be that's what the Conservative Party, prior to the Conservative Party being founded in Britain, the party used to be called the Tories, and then before that the Cavaliers. Let's see here. So the Conservatives' last election got 40% of the vote and 76 seats. And Ontario needs 63 seats to get power. Stephen Del Duca just looks like a fucking weirdo. I don't really get what's going on there. Um, is that really the best picture they had? I mean, look at that. That looks fucking horrible. It's just like this poorly photoshopped. I don't know. I don't know. I was debating just giving in and voting PC because I don't want the Liberals back, but I promised you guys that I wasn't going to. So, yeah, Zibar, it was literally in the. Um, this is last time's election. This isn't the current one. I was just looking at it. Results will start coming in soon. But yeah, the polls are basically exactly the same. Uh, the only real difference we're having this time is it looks like some of the NDP vote and the Liberal vote. Yeah, so basically 5% or so of the NDP vote is swaying back to the Liberals, and they're going to do about as well. Now, an interesting question is the PCs could actually pick up seats. I haven't looked at the specifics of the electoral map, but this means there's going to be a lot more vote splitting. And what tends to happen is conservative voters don't tend to vote for other parties as much as Liberal or NDP voters do. Um, Liberals and NDPs, there's a lot of switchover between the two parties and between the Green Party. Conservatives generally don't switch over. At least in my experience, not as much. Interestingly, for a long time prior to kind of the Great Wokening, I liked the NDP more than I liked the Conservatives. Uh, Somebody I knew who was a big conservative said the NDP at least have an ideology. The liberal ideology is whatever it takes to get us elected. Um, my position's kind of weird in Canada because the Republicans in the U.S. are actually socially conservative in a lot of ways, at least on life issues and a lot of the like drag queen stuff and things like that, and at least freedom of religion and things. In Canada, it's a socially liberal free market party. So on some economic issues, I actually agree with the liberals more, or the New Democrats. If you were to just look purely at economics and not at kind of what guides the economics, I'm probably closest to the liberals on that issue. Uh, the problem is that they're just extremely kind of corrupt about it, and yeah, I feel like in some cases, and this is very true out west, some people will either vote NDP or conservative, but won't vote liberal, mainly out in some of the rural areas. But yeah, so it looks like if we look at this, 63 seats to majority. Likely Ford is going to get the same or even pick up a couple of seats compared to what he got last time. And there's no real significant doubt that that's going to happen at this point in time. So the Greens are probably going to maintain. I still wish there was a conservative Green Party. If there was a conservative Green Party, I would vote the shit out of that. But it's like I was looking at the Green Party's platform. I think it was last election, and I was just like, a lot of this is good, but it's just all about like pause. It's all like how we have to help trans people in order to reduce climate. Um, we have to reduce climate emissions, or like they don't talk about clean energy anymore or carbon capture or any of that kind of stuff. It's just about like jerking off trannies and stuff. But the election should be coming in. Results should be coming in. We'll probably be out of here by like 9:30. To be perfectly honest, they're really elections in Canada are super fast. America is like uniquely shitty when it comes to election stuff. Not even like in terms of fraud, just in terms of sheer incompetence. Like we have the whole thing with Pennsylvania where they still don't know who won the Senate election. And I get that it was a very close race and that there's 0.1% between Dr. Oz and McCormick, but it's been 3 weeks. And I've heard some stuff that like happened there was they like put the votes on a USB and then they got locked out of the USB, so they were trying to figure out how to get back on it. I don't know, like I don't really get what's so bad about paper ballots. Like like that's how we do it in Canada. You just go in, they give you the paper ballot, you fill in the hole where the paper ballot is. Um, mhm. And then you put it into the voting machine, and it's like the easiest thing. Here, this is what a ballot looks like in Canada. Um, Let me see if I can find one. Okay, so this is what a ballot in Canada looks like for pretty much any election. See, it's nice and simple. There's a big black line. It lists the name. It lists the party. It lists the all the other stuff, and you can very clearly see what box um, that should would be checked in. So it's always kind of surreal how close I live to Warski and PPP because people are mentioning the rakeback. It is kind of nice because they sometimes will make reference to stuff in Canada that I remember because they both come from Southern Ontario too. So it's funny to hear them just kind of talk about the stuff that I often have to deal with. It's Pride Month now, which means like it's just hell. You guys from who don't live in Canada, you have no idea what it's like here. You have no idea. Literally everything is just fucking rainbow. So, a difference between Canada and the US is Canada has a much more professionalized. Yeah, doesn't matter if I say where I went to school. Yeah, I used to live in Kitchener too. Well, I used to live in Waterloo. I actually thought Waterloo was pretty nice, but other than the pause, but I don't know. I wouldn't mind living in Waterloo again at some point, but it was a nice city. Kitchener was shit. I remember Kitchener being like the poor, crappy part of the dual city. Yeah, detached home in Canada is about 30 times your year's wage. Americans don't understand how expensive housing is in the rest of the world. Housing's way more expensive in the rest of the world than it is in America. Like whenever I see how much people pay for rent or that kind of thing, it's just insane. Like as I've said, I don't make any pretense. I live with my parents at the moment. I could probably afford to go live on my own. It would just be like it just would be really fucking expensive. Um, I'd have to move closer to downtown, like to the downtown core to be near my job, and I'd have to spend like $2,000 a month for a bachelor's apartment, and it'd just be shit. I want to get out of this province too. I know that like Manitoba and Saskatchewan are shitty in their own way, but housing's dirt cheap there. Even if I could move to like Ottawa or something, where I'd really like to go is Halifax. Halifax looks great. Um, yeah, but yeah, Ontario. I pay 900 for my one bedroom in the ghetto. Yeah, that's probably a ghetto in there. 157 a week. That's amazing for a one bedroom. Wow, you pay basically nothing in rent compared to what it is now. Uh, you work in software engineering? Um, my company doesn't allow work from home. We're on full 5 days a week. I'm trying to get a job in another province so I can move there. Um, it's just a long process, you know. But I don't like to say specifically what I do for a living, but I have a good job at the moment that's tangentially related to my like the career path I want to pursue. So I mean, it's good. I'm getting good. Uh, I'm getting a lot of good experience. The pay's not bad. It's just my commute is 3 hours a day. So if I ever just seem really tired when I'm doing videos, it's because I leave at about 7:30 and I get back at about 6:30. So yeah, it adds another 3 hours. So it sucks. But that's just kind of the thing about living in southern Ontario is the greatest Toronto area is basically the entire like bottom third of the province, and it's expensive as fuck to live here. And they're just incompetent when it comes to building public transportation or highways. So we should really have high speed rail. Like the GO lines aren't even electrified yet. I don't know why we're still. It's 2022. Why are we still using diesel powered trains? Sabar, yeah, the GTA is shit. Do you know many people who commute from Kitchener to Toronto? Because I know a surprising number of people commute like from as far away as Barrie or Kitchener or I think even like Niagara Falls in order to get there. Um, no, but yeah, Toronto's Sodom and Gomorrah. At least the crime rate's not high. I mean, that's the one thing it has going for it. And I guess there are some nice parks. I will say that about Canada versus a lot of other places. At least in southern Ontario, we do have a lot of really nice parks. Basically, all there are people who commute from Toronto to Kitchener for their job. Why the fuck wouldn't they live in Kitchener? Kitchener is. Let me just look this up. Cost of living. Yeah, Kitchener's way cheaper than Toronto. Um, let's see, rent prices. People have been asking me to do a video about um, have asked me to do a video about the urban rural divide. Something I do really like about living in like the downtown core is that you can walk everywhere. You don't need a car. Like when I used to live downtown before COVID, I was down the street from like a good conservative Catholic church, a no frills, and a Dollarama, and it was just really nice because I could walk over and get my groceries. I didn't have to take a bus or a subway or anything. I didn't need a car. If I wanted to go see a movie, I could either take a streetcar or just walk there. But it was nice being able to just walk 40 minutes to go there and see a movie or something. Or I could walk down to the lake. There is a lot of nice things about living in an urban area. Urban neighborhoods are, it's kind of sad that they've gotten wiped out because I think urban neighborhoods are actually more densely populated than apartment buildings are, because apartment buildings have like those massive concrete slabs around them. So let's see here, when is election results coming out? I was looking at the average net worth of people in Canada and the US. And for my age, I'm like way above it. But when I was looking at people in like their late 30s to early 40s, it jumps up. I do wonder what percentage of people's net worth is in housing and housing equity. Because if it is in housing equity, I don't know. Like, do you really want to count that? I guess you can, but like my parents probably have well over $1 million of equity in my in our their house because they bought it like 30 years ago, so they could probably sell it, but they just don't know where they'd move to um, if that was going to happen. So it's just kind of shit. I like to describe my generation as having money but not wealth. Because I've saved up quite a bit over the years just because I'm very conservative with my money. But I don't know if I'll ever have enough to buy a house. I just don't like being in debt. And I know a lot of people say that's a very naive position to take. But I'd rather rent than have a massive mortgage and like diversified exchange traded funds. So that are with Wealth Simple, which is my low investment, uh, my low fee auto provider. So besides, it's nice to have a nest egg of money. So like if something happens, like if I get a job across the country and I have to move, I have the capital to do that, and I don't really have to worry about it. So it's kind of funny. In House of Cards, the main character says, uh, "I knew I was successful when I could go and eat a rack of ribs whenever I wanted, without thinking about it." And I kind of feel that way about I feel that way about ice cream cones. Being able to go to like Baskin Robbins or I don't know, just any kind of ice cream place and getting a cone whenever I feel like it and not having to worry if it fits in my budget is something that, I don't know. It always kind of makes me feel good about myself. No, I mean, cars suck. Uh, no, cars suck. Like, I get it that it's something that, like, in Canada and the US, we're supposed to think is this great thing. But they are very much money pits, and the reliance of them on them means that people, like, just commute a really long way. I don't know. Let's see here. We have some results coming in. We have a lead for Raymond Bouchon with one vote. I'm glad that they reported that. So that's coming in from that. The Toronto Star does not have anything else yet. For those of you who don't know, the Toronto Star is like the most insufferable bunch of cunts you've ever dealt with. They're worse than CBC. And it's hard to be worse than CBC. Um, Toronto Star. It would be nice if we had like affordable electric vehicles because I think the maintenance cost on them is less. It's just the Teslas are really expensive and they aren't available. Okay, so we have 9 votes in so far, and the NDP are winning. So my parents always watch the news, so they always watch like CBC or CTV and listen to News Talk 1010. Zipar, why don't you answer Peroxide? Is the Toronto Star worse than the Guardian? That's a really difficult one. I think the Guardian is higher brow. They're probably ideologically similar. I'm not sure. It's an interesting question. All of our major newspapers are cringe. I actually find the National Post like more cringy some days than the Toronto Star because the National Post, like there's an article like about how Elon Musk like is abusive to his workers and how he's a dick to them and overworks them and stuff like that. But and all the people in the comments section were like, it's fucking awesome. Everyone should work 50, 60-hour work weeks. People who want to work less than that are pussies. And just stuff like that. I don't know. It's something I've changed my mind about over the years. And I'm a very hard worker. And I do whatever it takes to get things done. But to be honest, in a lot of cases, a significant amount of the time, people aren't productive at work. They're just there to like fill their quota. And they're just there because productivity is measured by people, how long people sit in the office. So, I don't know. And the example they gave was factory workers and people who work in natural resources. And I don't think that's similar to office work at all. Because if you work overtime, you get what is it like time and a half? You make really good money if you work like 12-hour days on that sort of thing. And if you're working in resources at like an oil field or something, you're making really good money. So like I just don't consider that to be really the same thing. Because I mean, if I was like Argent, would you stay here for another 4 hours, but we'll pay you time and a half for it? I mean, I might just chug a couple energy drinks and do it. But for salaried employees, fuck that. Even so, like, I think we have an overproduction problem in the West with the amount of like waste and environmental damage. I think we could probably reduce work hours, reduce production, and reduce consumption without really impacting people's quality of life too much. I don't know. Maybe that's just kind of naive. Uh, so yeah, you don't get paid time and a half either. I used to probably work like 50, 60 hours a week at a previous job that they paid me below market rate for. Now I'm just very reluctant to go back to that. So, yeah, that's how it works. Salary pay, which is nice, but you don't get paid for OT. Yeah, but they can screw you on hourly pay. Because I was doing an hourly contract, and what they would generally do is they give me more work than could be done in the amount of time uh, they were giving me. So they'd give me a task that would take like 6 hours, but give me like 4 hours. So I would have to do the rest of it. Um, so I had to do the rest of it myself. Or completely lost my train of thought there. Well, I left that job because I was putting in like 50, 60 hour weeks. My boss was extremely abusive to me. It was just, it sucked. And I was there for 3.5 years. I'm like, look, could I get a raise, even like a 2% raise? And they were like, no, you're never going to get a raise as long as you work here. So I just told them to basically fuck off. And I got a job at another company, which was basically like no work, but I made $10,000 more. Um, so, like, I don't mind talking about it. So, I had worked at this company at a desk job for like 3.5 years. And I started at 47,000, and they wouldn't give me a raise. And that just continued on for that. And then when I moved jobs, I got, I think, 58 at my next job. And it was like you barely worked at all. Um, so I was actually, it was sad when I left that job because even if it was kind of boring and lame, it meant I could go to the gym on lunch breaks, which was cool. So that was when I was actually starting to get into like shape and lifting for like the first time in my life. Because I was in walking distance of my job. I could go after work or on lunch break and do some workouts. I was in the city, so I was walking everywhere. I had actually lost a lot of weight and I was starting to put on some muscle, but then COVID happened. And yeah, COVID happened. I got laid off and then I stress ate for like the next month or two. I'll talk more about the results once we start to get more in. There's just not a ton in at the moment. So, uh, oh, here comes Rain. Hey, girl, you want to come say hi? Can I get a meow out of you, Rain? Meow? No. Rain's a detractor. Yeah, I got a raise this time. Uh, the next job I'm looking at um, pays a little bit better. Uh, Now Rain's standing in front of my screen, staring at me, and I can't see the election numbers. Rain's trying to save me from this snooze fest. So something that is big Actually, the company I work at just brought in RRSP matching, but I'd like to work at a place that has a good retirement plan. Preferably some sort of RRSP matching or something. Because I'm only in my early 30s, but I think it's important to start that as soon as possible. So. Oh, they've already called Huron Bruce, Lisa Thompson, Minister of Agriculture. And they're calling it at like 10%. Yeah, RSP matching is nice. I inherited some money recently, so I was able to max out my TFSA. So I'm pretty happy about that because that was kind of my life goal at the time to do that. So that'll be a nice nest egg. Um, and I'm just going to leave that as long as possible and let it grow. So let's see. They've called Simcoe Gray, Solicitor General, York Simcoe, Caroline Mulrooney. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. What is her position again? Minister Francophone Affairs and Transportation. Now that is a bizarre combination of cabinet positions. Those two things are not related at all. Let's see. Elgin Mills, Middlesex. So, for those of you who don't know how it works in parliamentary systems, normally if you're a cabinet minister, the party leader, or someone else who is important to get elected, they will give you a safe seat. They'll give you somewhere where the party's almost certainly going to win. Because it's really embarrassing if your party leader loses his seat. Okay, so they're calling Elgin Middlesex London. They're calling Caledon. They've called York Simcoe. Let's see how some of these are going. Uxbridge, looks like that's going to go. Newmarket Aurora. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like Guelph is going to go green again. Since we have our friend here, let's see what Kitchener Waterloo's going to do. So Kitchener Conestoga, Mike Harris Jr. looks like he's going to win. Waterloo, we're going to get two new Democrats. That's fucking great. I actually find that corporations are often more woke than the government is, because corporations can get sued a lot easier. Is the what I've heard. For those of you who've never seen an electoral map of Ontario, it's kind of hilarious. Um, a lot of these districts are affirmative action districts. They shouldn't even really exist. They were just created to give Northern Ontario more seats. Like virtually no one lives here. It's just the literal middle of nowhere. The furthest north I've been in Ontario is we my family drove to Thunder Bay, so I've been like up here. It is very beautiful, but it's also like really shitty because the entire thing is just coated with mosquitoes and black flies and all kinds of other things that will eat you alive. So, The new Blue Party and the Ontario Party um, running separately is just so fucking stupid. Who the fuck is the Freedom of Choice? I can't tell if that's a left or right wing party. The Justice Party. What the fuck is this? Reddit? Freedom of Choice, Peace, and Justice. I guess that's a pro abortion party. Although I just think of Justice Party because of the National Justice Party. Um, Look at all of these assholes. Um, who started their shitty side products? We have a People's Party, and let's see. So there's a Populist Party of Ontario, the People's Political Party of Ontario, the Centrist Party, the Moderate Party, the Consensus Party. Like all these people just run these as like a pure meme. So stop the new sex ed curriculum. Progressive People's Common Front of Ontario. Is that a Maoist party? I don't know. That sounds like a Maoist party to me. So, guys, I don't know. This election's looking really close so far. Uh, the PCs are almost at a majority. But once again, this is how fast elections in Canada go. We already have like hundreds of thousands of votes done. Um, this is going to get resolved probably in the next like hour or so, which is nice because I can go to work, go to bed because I have to work. Granted, I'm kind of happy. I just really, really hated Kathleen Wynne. Look at that. Look at that. The word that. Look at that F slur. Let's see here. Ontario's hell. Yep. So they've called a lot of these, or they're leading. Let's see, elected. Leading and elected. What does leading and elected mean? Just give us what it is. I don't know. Halton, wow. Peel region. I'm kind of surprised how many ridings the GOP picked up in not the GOP, the PCs picked up in Toronto proper. Also, I hadn't realized they swept York Region quite that much. Will Doug Ford be PM one day? I mean, it's possible. The the currently the let me just see here, federal. So we're having another federal conservative leadership race. I can't fucking take it anymore. We've had this like this is the third one in 3 elections. So I don't know. It's rough. It's rough. We have Roman Barber. This ass, I don't even know who he is. Patrick Brown, who's like the slimiest dude. Jean Charest, who I don't dislike. Based black woman, and this dude, whoever the hell he is. Um, I'm gonna be honest. Last time I voted for based black woman, I might just vote for her again. Uh, so yeah, because she's pro, and it might be weird for me to support based black lady, but I mean this country's shit anyways. I might as well take someone who believes in God at least. It's not like any of these people are going to reduce immigration or anything like that. So, oh, Pierre's not bad. Oh, okay. Because he seemed like kind of okay. Maybe Pierre isn't so bad after all. Um, so maybe I'll put base black woman because she's not going to win as number one, and I'll put Pierre as number two. Uh, anyways, back to the provincial election. Oh, so it looks like the PCs are basically at a majority government at the moment. I'm going to say this. I'm okay with taking in any number of Ukrainian refugees. Uh, I'd be happy to take in like 2 million Ukrainian refugees. Just keep sending them. I'd take in as many as possible. If the, like half the country, if half of Ukraine wants to come here and I have to learn to speak Ukrainian, I'm down for that. That's what Silvio Berlusconi said. So someone asked Silvio Berlusconi, "What's your immigration policy?" And he said, "We'll take all the attractive women." He's like open border immigration, unlimited immigration cap for hot women, which I kind of love Silvio Berlusconi. Silvio Berlusconi is one of the slimiest, sleaziest, like most corrupt politicians in modern history. But he is kind of a king. I gotta give him credit for being just explicitly like so heterosexual. Like, there's so many good Berlusconi quotes. Like, "Why would you be gay? Women are so beautiful." He just like was baffled. He also told some Jewish politician that he should be a capo in an upcoming Holocaust movie, which is pretty funny. That and like he gave cabinet positions to like all these Italian models. Basically, he just made his cabinet like the hottest women he could find, which once again is like super sleazy, but it's kind of based. Can't tell if what was a joke. Um, the Ukrainians? No, I'm dead fucking serious. I'll take any number of them. Just let them come. Anyways, I know we're getting off topic, but yeah, this was back during the Berlusconi era. Berlusconi stacks Parliament cabinet with beauty queens actresses. So we have former contestant of Italian version of Big Brother, some mommy GF actress, some other QT, a former Miss Italy contestant, and a former topless model. So, sorry for getting off the provincial election. I just like talking about Berlusconi. Like, it's such a relief to have a dude who's just so like has like a normal sex, like who dislikes hot women. Like that's something I liked about Trump is there wasn't any like question that he was like a pedo really or into like that kind of stuff. I don't know. Let's see here. Vic Fideli is back in power. Let's see if my you're right. They're gonna get. I mean, there's some cute tartars. There's some cute tartars. Implying I don't want Hapa QTs. I don't know. I don't know. Some of the tartar women look pretty cute. The Hapas will produce Quappas or something like that, so it's okay. All right. So let's see here. Yeah, like I said, the retardation of New Blue and Ontario Party doing their stupid vote splitting. I am 31 at the moment. Not 33 quite yet. Not 33 quite yet. Thanks for reminding me of my age, though. It does kind of depress me. But it is what it is. All man must die. I only hope I get to spend eternity with God. That's it's about all you have in the end of your life. Why does it depress me to be old? Um, just knowing, I guess that I just feel guilty sometimes that I'm not living up to my full potential, or I'm not going to achieve things that I really should have, or something like that. Um, Also, I know I don't know, but I don't mind being open about this. I've never really had a relationship with a had a relationship. I was about to say with a woman, but then that would kind of be awkwardly worded. And I kind of feel like if I haven't by this point in my life, I'm kind of getting too old. I know that's a stupid thing to say. Um, that's not true, but I can't help. As you may have noticed from this channel, I'm extremely neurotic and have low self esteem, so I tend to feel that way. Um, Also, my main fear of age is the mental degeneration that comes with it. Um, that's something that I'm really scared of. Just because most of my grandparents, well, two of my grandparents were vegetables for the last like 5 years of their life. Um, and I just really don't want that. Like, to me, like, hell on earth would be where I'm no longer able to uh, think properly or enjoy kind of intellectual pursuits or watching movies or stuff like that. That's what really scares me. I kind of think being like having dementia or having a and not knowing where you are or who you are or something like that. Um, do I have a history of dementia or Alzheimer's? My grandmother, one of my grandmothers had Alzheimer's. My other grandmother who died recently had bipolar type 1 that was very poorly treated. And you could tell as she got older, it just ripped her brain apart into like pieces of paper. And her brain just degraded continually over her life. I think that's because it wasn't properly treated. For my part, I think I was only diagnosed with bipolar when I was 26 or so and started getting proper medication. Um, Eileen, I'm sorry to hear that. Your last two living grandparents have terrible dementia and Alzheimer's. Yeah, it's. I'm not trying to say like they're subhuman or any. I was very relieved when grandmothers passed, just because they were in a lot of suffering. Um, I don't believe in euthanasia. Um, for a variety of reasons, but I I did feel tempted sometimes to support it, just because like my grandmother was also blind, so she was blind and had dementia, so she thought she was living in like a concentration camp, and it was really rough. But I mean, she wasn't Catholic, but I hope that God, in His mercy, took her home because she was like the sweetest woman I've ever met. Um, I loved my grandmother a lot. I was mostly really close to my grandfather. Um, my paternal grandfather and I were really, really close. It really hurt me when he died, but and everybody has to die at some point in time. Fortunately, in his case, the cancer took him relatively quick, and it didn't impact his mental faculties until the very end. Sorry, I know this is super depressing, but this is kind of life. But yeah, so I didn't ever really receive proper medical treatment until I was like 26. I know once I started taking mood stabilizers, I got a lot more functional and able to like interact with people in real life. I still have bad social anxiety, but mood stabilizers dramatically improved that. It dramatically improved when I'd go on manic fits and just destroy all my interpersonal relationships. So I think what I'm gonna do is once I get a stable long term job, um, hopefully move somewhere else, maybe to another province. I don't really want to try to get a GF while I'm living with my parents. So maybe move to another province, rent a decent place there, get involved with the church there, maybe uh, the the maybe join the Knights of Columbus. That might be a good way to meet some people of like-minded people. If I move to a new area, how am I with public speaking? I'm not terrible at it. I'm generally pretty good at doing presentations. Um, I'm pretty good at teaching. So, like, sitting down with people or a group and explaining things to them and, like, working with them and being a nurturing figure and that kind of thing. It runs in my family. A lot of my family are teachers or principals or that sort of thing. So, I kind of grew up around it. In another world, I might have become a teacher. That's kind of a job that if the education system wasn't so shitty and it wasn't so biased against white males, I wouldn't have minded being a teacher, but I just can't do it in this environment. I can't teach dip, stuff like that. Um, so, so Zabar, I understand what you're saying, and a lot of that is accurate. It okay. So with mental illness, there are people who have physical mental illnesses and people who have emotional mental illnesses. So all of that stuff is good. Um, Most people who have depression shouldn't be on medication for the long term. What I think it's primarily there for is to get people out of their funk so they can start doing stuff like exercising, go to therapy, try to get a regular schedule, that kind of thing. Um, some people, though, have like schizophrenia or bipolar or something else that they just need medication for because it's like a physical problem. A lot of depression is situational. Like a family member dies and you kind of get stuck in it, or I guess kind of something else. So, who's Bobby and Brady? Who is this dude? Oh, an independent. Okay, interesting. Uh, I'm looking at Manitoba at the moment. Once again, I know that Winnipeg is shit, but I could get a two-bedroom there for half the price of a studio in Ontario. So, so it looks like uh, the NDP, the Liberals are picking up in Ottawa. Although I think that was where they won most of their seats previously. Carlton. I think I forget if that's the. There's one candidate for one of these ridings. Maybe that's her name. Who's like 6'1". Yeah. Or something like that. I know a friend of mine voted uh, voted for her just because she was that tall, and he just likes tall people. So, oh, Raistlin Marjorie, good reference, good character. I was a big Dragonlance fan as a kid. Um, I really I read the Soul Forage like 10 times and Brother in Arms like 10 times. Those were probably my two favorite Dragonlance books. The what was it? Legends or the trilogy that was Caramon and Raistlin, uh the twin, like the Time of the Twins, Test of the Twins, and what was the third? Legends. Yeah, Legends of the Twins. I always thought that like Lady Chrysania, or however you pronounce his name, was best girl. And I always, like as a kid, I really, really wanted Raistlin and her to get together, and for her to like be the woman who pulls him out of being like an emo asshole. Um, but it was not to be. It's not to be. But I like their relationship a lot. Um, I think the saddest thing was what happened to Palin, because he was someone who had a lot. Like he had his absurdly hot wife, but he lost magic, and then he spent the rest of his life as like an emo asshole. So it looks like the NDP is keeping to all of their traditional power areas. The Liberals are look like they're in trouble. Um, it doesn't look like they've are they even going to get official party status? I'm not even sure if they're going to wind up getting official party status this time. Irini did a stream once where he just ranted about Kender for like 20 minutes. Um, I read up to Dragonlance up to where Mina came in. Um, and the like War of Souls or whatever. And I don't know, that arc was just weird. Like when Mina or what's her name started having sex with people on behalf of the like god of death to convert them to his cause. That was kind of weird, but yeah, I have fond memories of Dragonlance. That was the first D&D setting thing I ever read. I wasn't even into D&D at the time, but I enjoyed it. There we go, guys. It's an Argent stream. We watch election results and Sault Ste. Marie. Have any of you ever been to Sault Ste. Marie? It is a shithole. It's really shitty. Although Marathon was worse. Marathon was worse. Oh, that's right, Sault Ste. Marie. Yeah, it's not a nice place. That's Sudbury. Sudbury's kind of interesting. I've been there a couple times over the years. They have Science North there, which is kind of cool. So the thing to keep in mind about Dragonlance is it was written by a Mormon. And when you start to think about it, it has fairly conventional morality in a lot of ways. Um, the Dragonlance universe is actually monotheistic in that the High God, I think, is the progenitor of all. But generally speaking, if a Mormon writes something, it tends to have more of a moral compass than stuff not written by a Mormon. Really? Barry went red? That sucks. No, like, um, what's her name's a Mormon? Stephanie Meyer, who did Twilight's a Mormon. I just like I know when I'm reading fan fiction and it's there's a fan fiction uh, writer and it's like wholesome and there's like a lack of swearing or like sexual degeneracy. I normally look at the profile and it normally says they're Mormon or an evangelical Christian or something like that. 9 times out of 10. I should do some more fanfic reviews soon. Yeah, Margaret Wise and Tracy Hickman. I should do some videos on Dragonlance at some point. Remember Raistlyn's daughter? That like spin-off troll story where like Raistlyn's a Chad? Maybe I'll do like a sci-fi pulsi for like the Knights of the Warlord armies or whatever. I don't know. I'd have to think on that one. Did you ever read the Doom Brigade ones? The ones with the Draconians? I like those a lot. Commander Kang, I think his name was. So far it looks like the PCs are like dominating. The liberals look like they're getting completely felted. I thought the liberals would do better. I mean, it's still not like over yet, but and once again, I think this speaks to the efficiency of the Canadian election process, where um, it's going to be like done in the next hour or two. If you want a really based author, I'd recommend reading Dean Koontz. I should do some reviews of him, but Dean Koontz is really based. Uh, Literally, like all the villains in his stuff are some kind of sexual degenerates. Liberal priests are evil in a bunch of them, and the bad guys are like Satanists or transhumanists or stuff like that. Um, he's like a conservative libertarian Catholic. I remember when he converted, he said if Vulcans had a religion, it would be Catholicism. But yeah, I enjoy his books a lot. Definitely one of the better horror writers. Who's my favorite Canadian musician? Um, Probably have to go with Rush, maybe. Yeah, I think Rush. I'm not sure who else there would be. There's probably like some Canadian band who I am not thinking of that they are Canadian. Let me see here. What are some Canadian bands? Top 20 Canadian bands. Let me see. Do I recognize any of these? Bare Naked Ladies, like the most mediocre band of all time. Great Big Sea, Billy Talent, The Guess Who, The Tragically Hip. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Rush. I don't know. I know Rush is the generic answer, but I can't really think of anybody else. Maybe there's like some electronic people from Canada that I'm not thinking of. Let me just go see who are some. You know, Michael Bublé is not bad. Maybe that dramatically. Oh, Raceland says, I've been listening to you for years. Always appreciated your stories and how you explain things, especially regarding Christianity. Thank you, Raceland. I really appreciate that. Um, and I'm not just saying that. It always, that actually, you kind of made my day with that. Thanks, man. God bless. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know. Like Avril Lavigne wasn't that bad. Michael Bublé isn't bad. Um, let's see here. Oh boy, Canadian music, Caribbean music in Canada. That sounds great. It just sounds like. Right, Twain, Celine Dion. I mean, they were okay for pop music. Like, I guess. I really have no taste in music, so I tend to like pop, metal, and like electronic music. Also, a lot of like I call it neoclassical, like soundtrack music and stuff like that. So I don't really have a strong opinion on music. I'm kind of tone deaf, so I kind of like things that are very uh, catchy and kind of repetitive. So I always did really bad in music class in school. I was happy when I was able to drop that and do drama instead. Yeah, I think Avril Lavigne was from like small town Ontario. Um, she was from Belleville, and then she lived in let's see here, Napanee, and Kingston. So yeah, I remember when like Skater Boy first came out. That was interesting. Um, I think Belleville's in Eastern Ontario, isn't it? Isn't it around Kingston? I think it's near Kingston. Yeah, okay, so she probably is French Ontarian. There is a substantial number of French Ontarians that live in the eastern part of the province, particularly in Ottawa. Bad night for the Liberals. Yep, it's a disaster. I think I called this. I think I said that the Conservatives would probably pick up. I'm just sorry if I'm kind of going all over the place. I haven't done a stream for a while, and there's only 18 people, so it's kind of cozy. It's nice just kind of being able to just kind of shoot the shit. In a sense, even if I can't even if you can't talk about really the specifics of your life, in a sense that it would dox you, it is nice to be able to just kind of talk about stuff in a way that you might not talk about with people in real life. So the Conservatives won 78 seats before, and they are currently at 80. Yeah, so it looks like they're going to pick up a couple due to vote splitting between the Liberals and NDP. Because, looking at this, yeah. I don't know. I think I've said in the past, my favorite band is Judas Priest, followed closely by Sabaton. I know Sabaton's kind of a generic choice, but I do really enjoy their music. But no, I love Judas Priest. Blue Oyster Cult. I like Blue Oyster Cult a lot too. I'm just thinking of actual bands that I like. Never really listened to much Iron Maiden, to be honest. I have a tip. If you want something, if you have to do data work or you have to write an essay or something like that, the best thing to put on is a mix of just the most generic, meaningless, mindless J-pop you can find. And that just has this tranquilizing effect on your brain, and it just allows you to focus. I know when I'm writing term papers, I always just find the worst J-pop mix I can find and just throw that on, and that tends to work pretty well. Yeah, so the Ontario and New Blue Party, it looks like completely screwed the pooch. They completely fucked it up. Let's see. Let's see how Dougie did in his writing. I think his writing it's Etobicoke something. I think it's Etobicoke North. Yeah, Etobicoke North. Just mogs them, just blows the shit out of them. Not even close. Although the other right wing parties did better there than they did in other parts. Let's see what else. Oh, I thought Newmarket Aurora was going to flip. Interesting. Aurora didn't flip. Oh, Reach Out to the Truth and different Persona songs are really good for that. Just playing Whims of Fate or Take Over or something like that on a loop. Hey girl, you want to say hi to the audience? Can we get a meow? Rain, you're a detractor. You're a massive detractor. How many seats did the Liberals have before? 7. Let me see. What is it for official party status in Ontario? 12 seats. So if the Liberals do not get 12 seats, they do not get official party status, and it looks like they aren't going to, which is amazing for the second year in the row. I haven't really heard talk of replacing the national flag yet. I'm sure it's coming soon, though. Um, I'm sure it's coming soon. Yeah, the PCs just blew them the fuck out. Like, it's a pathetic showing for the Liberals. They picked up 10% of the popular vote, but they got no other stuff. It didn't translate into any votes. Let me see. How much is what was the PC majority again? So 76. So is that a super majority? Let me see if that's a super majority. 80 divided by. That's almost a super majority. Although I don't know if super majority really matters. Let's see here. Um, you mean the night they drove old Del Duca down? We'll see if he survives this. Like, this is a massacre. This is like a Feltoning of epic proportions. Cruise to a second majority government. Yeah, it wasn't even close. He actually gained percentage of the votes. And these morons, they're fucking, their attempt at a gay op. It's one of the worst attempts at a gay op I've ever seen. Um, we're gonna run separately. Let me see how Derek Sloan did in his riding. His riding was over here. Yeah, Derek Sloan just got felted in his own riding. Just destroyed. Oh, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for him. Let's see how what's his name did. Uh, Cambridge. So if I recall, where's Cambridge again? Guelph, Flambrook. I'm trying to remember where Cambridge is. Hmm. Okay, I was close. Cambridge should be. Okay, Guelph, Wellington, Mississauga, Oakville, Burlington. There we go, Cambridge. Yeah, she got 11% of the vote in her own riding. It's over. It's a feltoning of epic proportions. Oh, okay. I'm gonna out myself now. Do I play mobile games? I play too many mobile games. Um, I have at the moment I'm playing Disgaea RPG and Pokemon Masters EX and AFK Arena, and then I periodically play Pokemon Go. Fire Emblem Heroes I used to play. Um, let's see here. Fire Emblem Heroes. It's just there's so many characters and it's really unwieldy. Okay, so this is P Mill Bacon. Um, so this is kind of like a big thing in southern Ontario. Is you get the bacon uh, like that, and then you slice it and cook it. I describe it as being somewhere in between ham and uh, bacon as you'd know it. It's just kind of like really lean bacon. Um, I know my father eats a lot of female bacon. I mean, they kind of have that in to a certain extent in Disgaea, and they have a certain amount of that in what's it called? What's it called? I forget. Yeah, so female bacon. Yep, unsmoked back bacon from the lean boneless pork loin rolled in cornmeal. So, yep, it is the official or the unofficial sandwich of the St. Lawrence Market Butcher Shop. I used to go to St. Lawrence Market at least once a week. I would go there for my Fridays to get my lunch there. There is a decent Chinese place there and some. There is a really good meat pie place there. That's what I would normally get. I would normally go to St. Lawrence Market and get meat pies. There's a really good chicken one, and I forget what the other one is. Yeah, Toronto's signature dish. Yeah, a lot of people like female bacon because it's pretty lean compared to normal bacon. So it's kind of like a weird hybrid. Anyways, I think that covers it. We know who won the election. It was a complete feltoning. The Liberals got 100% blown out. And that's just the way it was. So God bless. Thank you, everyone, for listening to my constant rambling. Love you guys. Have a good weekend.